Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, Bessie. So good to see you.
Yes, it's so good to be here with you today. I am really looking forward to our guest today. She is someone that left you and me and is going to leave our listeners wondering, like, how does she do it all? Right? Come on.
Yeah, that's so true. I think she is that inspiration for anyone that's listening that says, I don't have time for that, right? Tiffany is going to prove you wrong. You've got time for all the things.
Agreed. So let's get to it. Let's welcome our guest, Tiffany Johnson. Welcome, Tiffany.
Yes,
Yay!
welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited.
We're so glad that you're here. Before we dive in to the quote and share what we're going to talk about today, we want you to kick us off. We want you to tell our listeners what it is that you do and let them hear like what we mean when we say that she does it all.
Okay, absolutely. So I am currently the president of the Manufacturing and Supply Chain Alliance of Mid-Florida. I also own and operate Forged Paths, which is a workforce company for troubled youth and youth coming out of foster care.
And you're also a mom.
Yes. I am also a mom to 2 teenage boboys.
Yeah, you can't leave that out. Yes, that's what the part of doing it all is that not only do you work, but you're managing teenagehood.
Yes. A full-time job in itself.
And also, some of those things you shared have a lot of moving parts.
They do.
When we got the details of all of that, we were blown away. And so just hearing that, though, our listeners probably understand why we have you on as a guest. And we can't wait to talk about the quote with you this week. So here it is. Well, actually, it's more of a proverb.
Yeah, I think it's a proverb.
Yeah, but here it is anyway. You ready? Give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you will feed him for a lifetime. So girls, let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
This one is so good. So Tiffany, let's start with you. What does this quote mean to you?
So this quote for me would be teaching someone how to support themselves kind of restores their dignity and confidence. It would be more about them, I feel like, being able to own their future versus just being able, when you're kind of handed things, you don't deem them as important or really kind of understand. Like, for instance, my boys, when they were younger, didn't really understand the value of $1.
Right.
Yes.
So you implement these tools and these resources to kind of help them. So, like, for instance, with my boys, when they were younger, they got an allowance. However, at the end of the week, if their room wasn't clean or their chores weren't done, they had to then pay me to do their chores or to clean their room.
I love that.
That's good.
So learning the value not only of $1, but of time, not only their time, but other people's time, right? Like your time is valuable, money is valuable, like all these life lessons. So when I heard that, it really made me think about the importance of kind of taking ownership and giving things to people. That's like a short-term, like kind of helps them along short-term, but really long-term, when you're teaching someone how to support themselves, it's giving them the tools that for them to succeed long-term.
Yeah, I think it's about equipping someone versus making them relying on other people, right?
Yes.
Like you equip them to know how to fish so that when they're hungry or they want to sell the fish, they can do that. But if they were first of all, if anybody is waiting for me to teach them and go fishing, like they'd be waiting a long time. But if they were waiting on someone, they could starve, right? Or if they wanted to use the fish for income, like they're relying on someone. So I love that. And I love the example that you shared. I wish I would have known that years ago.
I know. That's a great example.
Something else. What about you, Miss?
Well, it's funny that Tiffany mentioned her boys, because I was thinking, Tiffany, that you might mention like what you are doing as you're teaching trades, which I know will come up. But I thought about my boys. And I can remember when they were young, and they're adult children now, right? But I can remember like 3 years old, they were bringing their laundry and they were sorting it with like undies and pajamas and towels and their darks and their lights. And I had them do that. In the back of my mind, I was always wanting to teach them how to do those type of life skills. Number one, so they would be independent. And number two, because I wanted them going into relationships as an adult, knowing how to do those things that hopefully my husband's not listening, some of the things my husband didn't do, right?
Yeah.
Like I wanted to start young because I wanted them to develop those skills. And here's something someone told me a long time ago that I think goes great with this, is that you don't do things for people that they have the ability to do for themselves. And I think it's because it develops pride in them. And so I just wanted to, it was interesting that Tiffany said something about her children, and that's exactly where my mind went.
Yeah. So, Tiffany, you know that we do a lot of work with blue collar skills trade, right? We often joke, here we are, don't let the pink fool you, right? Like it's a male dominated industry. So for you, like why skill trades? Like what opportunities do HVAC and welding and similar industries offer that maybe other programs might overlook?
So I guess to touch on kind of both points of that, for me, with it being a male dominant industry, for me, it was more like of a challenge and more of like, just wanting to kind of get in there and kind of show that, that I can do this too. So I had started early on in trades in kind of more of like a sales role. And when you would walk into some of these places, to kind of try to sell, like your services and things like that, you weren't taken seriously. So I really kind of honed in and really educated myself on the different types of trades, the different positions. And then I went in, and when they would ask you questions and you would answer them, it's like they would get very tongue tied. Like, well, I wasn't expecting you to actually know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was, I've always been big on pushing myself and challenging myself. And this industry was definitely something that was a challenge. And it just pushed me to want to learn more, to grow more, and to just really show that, women can do it too. So
love that.
yes. Why skill trades? I feel like these are all really good starting points for for youth and for kids that don't really see themselves wanting that 4-year degree, or maybe not being able to afford that. HVAC, welding, manufacturing, they all provide like immediate entry points into something that can really help them establish a career and like really do well. You can make so much money and not have all the student debt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many programs out there. There's apprenticeships, there's certifications, and all these things are being offered now because there is such a huge gap in our workforce today that these positions and these skill sets are much needed.
And don't you think they're going to be needed more and more?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do think that for
Yeah.
sure. And I think one of the biggest things is that I know, when I was coming out of high school, my thought process, which is all, kind of what you were led to believe, because you were always pushed, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go be a teacher, go be all these things, that trades were such a dirty job, right? Like these are
Right.
icky jobs. You don't want to do them. This is for people that don't have a brain, but it takes so much skill. I mean,
Yes.
but you can't, a doctor can't go in and figure out how to, put together a ceiling fan and wire it. They can't go in and do MIG, TIG, stick welding, things like that. So it's just a different set of skills for a different type of person that just doesn't have the want or the desire, or just the funds to go through
Right.
and do these 4, 6, 8 year degrees.
Yeah. And, one of the things that you're really passionate about, which so much that you started Forged Paths, which works with youth in your community, helping them through skills trade to lead to independence. Many of these teams you were sharing with Macy and me come from the foster care system or even detention facilities. So, how do you approach someone who's been written off, so to speak, Tiffany, by society, and help them see a future for themselves? Like, we'd imagine there would have to be some kind of mindset training involved as well as those important actual skills.
Yes. So, when you're working, I guess more specifically with the kids that are in these detention facilities, these are all kids that they've had such a rough go at life, right? Now they're in these detention facilities because they were stealing, they were selling drugs, they were armed robbery, so many things, and it's so I don't know, just so heartening to go in there and just be around all these kids. I mean, they have them in there as young as 13 and 14 years old. Right.
Gosh.
And it's just, it does something, right? But when you go in there, you can see just this eagerness. Like, not only like do these kids, they want guidance. I think it's they're born with that. They're born with that need to be led. They need a direction. They need a path.
Yeah.
They're not given that. These kids that are in there, they don't have that. They weren't given that. They either don't have parents. They were on the streets, or they have parents, but they're in prison now for pretty much the same thing that their kids are doing now. So
Right.
they don't have that guidance that they so crave. So you go in there into these facilities and you see these kids, and you can just tell, and they just have this eagerness and this want to do better, and to say, hey, show me what I can do, show me how I can make my life better.
Love that.
Well,
I think we're all kind of, you said something
yeah.
about like kind of born with that. Like, we are all born with the desire to pursue purpose.
Sure.
And I think sometimes
Absolutely.
life situations, you lose sight of that. So that's really what I think when you think of that.
Yes, absolutely. And I try to, let them know, you don't come out of here leading your life by your mistakes. You lead with your potential. Every single one of you in here, you have potential. One bad chapter doesn't define your whole story. That's what I tell them. So really, you go in there and you just you kind of set up a game plan. You provide them with a structure. You provide them with accountability, but you're also, while you're providing, just because you're providing structure and holding them accountable doesn't mean that you can't also give them what they crave, which is a nurture and belief, and like, you've got this. Most people, most youth, they rise when someone expect something out of them.
Yes.
Yes.
We often say people will rise to the expectations that you set for them.
Yes.
And I've seen
absolutely.
it. You both probably have seen it in your own kids, right? If someone
Absolutely.
doesn't believe they can do it, not even themselves, but if there's a teacher or a coach, it's like, you'll never be more than. Well, guess what? They're not even going to try to be more than. They're only
That's
going
right.
to be that thing.
That's right. Outside of my classroom, when I taught school, I had a sign that said, people will do as little or as much as you expect. I teach
Yes.
with love and high expectations. And
Yeah.
my kids
Yes.
always rose to those expectations.
will.
They always did, y'all.
Yeah.
They always did.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. So
They have a desire to make, they want to make you proud. They want to they want a purpose, and they want to, they want to show you what their purpose is. They just need guidance. So
absolutely.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
Love it. Tiffany, you work with a lot of blue collar businesses and companies. What do you think they get wrong when trying to invest in talent? Impactful Messages is proud to partner with Forged Paths, a nonprofit whose mission is to connect youth from challenging backgrounds to stable employment through mentorship, skills training, and second chances.
Through this partnership and our initiative, Steel Toes and Second Chances, we are raising money to make sure young men and women have proper work boots for their first day on the job. Something simple, but critical.
Forged Paths has already helped more than 12,000 young people into blue-collar careers. These are motivated, capable individuals who just need the right tools to show up prepared and confident.
When you partner with Impactful Messages and Forged Paths, you're not funding an idea, you're supporting proven work that is already changing lives.
And while $30 may not feel significant to you, for many of these kids, it's more than they have in their wallet, and often it's the difference between starting strong and starting behind.
With your support, we can help ensure that a lack of footwear never stands in the way of a future. Join us in putting steel toes on the ground and hope back into motion. Visit steeltoesandsekondchances.com today to make your donation.
What they get, so that for me is kind of I think what they did get wrong was not allowing for second chance opportunities. What I think now they are more open and allowing for those second chance opportunities. And I think, I really think right now, just because of this workforce gap, right? You have the baby boomers that are retiring, and then you have the people that are now in these leadership roles. And now there's this huge gap because of what, we were always taught, trades are dirty, things like that. That now they're kind of desperate. So now they're opening up their doors to wanting to give people a chance, to whereas before, you had to have like an impeccable background, like you couldn't have anything, like you had one speeding ticket and they didn't want to hire you, right? So I think now they're really allowing for those opportunities. And I really think it's really opened up doors, not only for these kids, but community. Like I've seen so much community within the supply chain and manufacturing world. I see, whereas, you had companies, for instance, that do the same line of work that wouldn't be caught in the same room together because you are our competition, right? Whereas now we're all getting together in rooms and we're going over ideas and bouncing ideas off each other. And we're saying, hey, this worked for me, you should try this. And I think so. What we're doing wrong, I wouldn't say. I would say that we're actually on a path of where we're starting to do it right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm curious, with Forged Path, right?
Yes.
That's your nonprofit. How are you helping businesses think beyond recruitment? Right? Like, let me just go hire someone, and really helping them understand this idea of rehabilitation and second chances. Like what does that look like? Because obviously you're in the Tampa area. but there are blue collar businesses all over the world. I don't see that. I don't think it'd be possible right now, at least maybe it's part of your vision, to have your kids be everywhere, right? And have more than just this one division. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We will support you on that mission. But how can you get businesses to think, because this is out of the box?
I love that question, Macy, because at the end of the day, we know we work with so many companies, right, who are struggling with hiring and recruiting. So what could it look like if they partnered with Tiffany and her organization to give some folks another chance?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that question also. And it's funny you mentioned kind of expanding outside of Florida. I had someone actually in Virginia reached out to me yesterday, and we're in talks about some stuff going on there. So it's kind of exciting.
That's awesome.
Yes. So really, in that aspect, I think what I tell them is recruitment finds workers, rehabilitation builds people, right? So yes.
I love that.
So I feel like these companies, when I'm speaking with them, letting, kind of giving them my spiel and kind of, giving backstories of some of the kids that I have for them. I'm just letting them know you're partnering with the program. You're not partnering with a job post. You're partnering with the community. You're partnering with kids that really want a second chance. And if these kids want a second chance and they're working so hard because they already know what it's like on the other side, right? They don't want to go back there. So you giving these kids second chances, it's reducing your turnover. And guess what? It's also increasing loyalty. Right. So they're investing in people's lives, not just labor.
Yeah, not just a paycheck. And I think it could help families and generations,
Absolutely.
right? Break the chains and break the cycles, because they're going to see that there's hope for a future instead of my mom, my dad was also, incarcerated. So of course that's the outcome that I'm going to have. Well, if we can kind of show that. So I have a question for you, and you may need to think about this for a second. If you could change one thing about how society approaches rehabilitation or workforce development, I'm sure your list is long because that's why you started Forged Paths. But if you could change one thing, if there's someone listening right now, because we do have a lot of listeners that are in blue collar, because that's where our passion is, like, what's one thing that these business owners or these team leads could change on how they approach it?
Absolutely. So specifically for the companies, I would say it would be removing unnecessary barriers that block these people that are eager for that second chance. So, making their workforce more human-centered versus paperwork. They come in and fill out application and they're looking at the application. Oh, no, thank you. That one's got, this charge. No, thank you. That one's got this charge. So really just going beyond the paperwork and making it more human-centered and removing those barriers.
So good.
I love that.
We work with a lot of companies that give those second chance opportunities. So it's great to see that you've got such a love for that. So Tiffany, I'm going to ask you this, what gives you hope right now?
Yes. Okay. So I had a text message that I asked one of my kids to share. It is the purpose. It is the heart. It is really just the answer to why I do what I do. And I can read that now if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
We'd love that.
Yeah.
Listeners, we're getting a peek into purpose here. Oh, I love it.
It says, Miss Tiffany, I just really needed you to know how grateful I am for everything you've done for me. When I got released, I was scared. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know where I was going to sleep, how I was going to eat, or what my next move was. Honestly, the first thing I thought about was going back to selling drugs because that was the only way I knew how to survive. Then someone connected me to you and everything changed. You didn't just help me get a job. You helped me get the boots for that job. You helped me get my driver's license when I thought that would never happen. You helped me find a place to live when I had nowhere to go. You even well, he said, help me get work boots again so I could show up on my first day with dignity. I had no one. I had no family. I had no support, but you were there for me when nobody else was. Because of you, I didn't go back to jail. And I know in my heart that if it wasn't for you, that's exactly where I would be right now. The people I used to run with tell me they don't recognize me anymore. And for the first time in my life, I'm proud to hear that. People have started asking me what changed. They want to know how I turned my life around. And the truth is, it was you. So I'm asking from the bottom of my heart if you would help them too, the same way you helped me. You didn't just give me a job, you gave me a chance at a real life.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wowzer. Wowzer.
That is why you do what you do.
That is why I do what I do.
One thing that stood out, obviously in just a few minutes, Tiffany, we're going to have you share your information in case people want to stay connected with you and maybe, support you on your mission. Just the little things that
Yes.
a man, right? Young man, that the young man said, like the work boots. Like, okay, you have a job, but he also needs the work boots to show up, or depending on where these kids get jobs, like the tools. And I often think people forget that it's not just the job, right? It's all the other things that are required in the job. And from both Missy and I, we're just proud of what you're doing. You should be very proud of yourself for what you're doing. And we know that the impact that you have truly is going to be what we often refer to as that ripple effect.
Ripple effect. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Not just affecting this one child's life, but affecting his future family, but also affecting, quite frankly, like the people he works for. Like they're going to see the blessing that this has.
His friend group, Macy. His friend group that says he's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, I'm like you. Whenever he said the work boots and the dignity, that's when I grabbed my Kleenex, because such a little thing gave him that pride right at the very beginning. I said something about pride. It's that dignity.
Right. Like he didn't have to show up in the wrong shoes and be embarrassed because you were able to help them. And so this has been so amazing. And I think it's a great segue for us for the takeaway for this week. Listeners, if you only have one thing to take away from this week's episode, let it be this. Teaching people a new trade or a new skill isn't just about employment. It is about restoring that dignity that we were just talking about. It's about creating that independence that Missy was referring to earlier with her kids, rewriting someone's story, which we've mentioned several times. It is just everything that you shared, Tiffany, is just such a beautiful example of this week's quote/proverb.
It really is. And I'd also say that when you invest in second chances, you're not just helping individuals, right? You're strengthening the entire workforce, the economy, the social fabric. And even more importantly than that, it's that ripple effect in that life of that one person becomes impact in many, many lives. So if you're listening, ask yourself, who can you invest in today? Mm-hmm. Who can you invest in this week?
Yeah, I love it. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. We know how busy and productive. You see, I didn't just say busy. She's
That's
busy
right.
And productive. And
that's right.
It means a lot to us that you would carve out the time to be here, to let our listeners know more about what you do. So if they want to stay connected with you, what is the best, easiest way for them to stay connected with you?
So the one of two ways. The first way would be through my website, which is www.forged-paths.com. The other way is just simply going to be through a quick text or a phone call, 863-209-6615.
And we'll put that in the show notes.
Yes, so much. So then as we wrap up today's episode, Tiffany, we ask this to all of our guests. What is your favorite leadership quote?
Absolutely. So my favorite leadership quote is, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge.
Yes.
I love that one too.
It. And listeners, do you have a favorite leadership quote? Send it our way and we may spotlight it on a future episode.
And we'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about it. Bye, Bestie. Bye, Tiffany. Thank you so much.
Bye, Bestie.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this show, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast, leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app, and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.